On this video, you know what you're getting into here. We're putting heated seat wiring in Mk4. I have the wiring back there, kind of all labeled on where it needs to go where. For the most part, it's pretty easy, but I'll show you what needs to go into getting it done. Things first here, need to disconnect the battery because these seats have airbags in them, and we don't need the airbags going off and making for a bad day. So, and then after that, next thing we're gonna do is take both seats out. There is little covers right here that there's screws underneath to take these trim pieces off for the rails, and then there are two, I believe, 13mm nuts under here that need to come out, and then the seat can just slide on back and be taken out. After these little trim caps are removed and the screw is removed, these quite literally just pop out. Got this one here too. This one's a little tougher, but still slides right on out. Next up here is removing these two 13mm nuts down here. So we're just gonna pop those off. And I'm using the camera so I can actually see without breaking my neck to get down here. Awesome. All right, once those nuts are removed, we can grab this lever, pull up, and slide the seat on back to pull it out. All right, and once you slide the seat back, I know this is a bad shot, you'll find a couple connectors here that need to be disconnected before you fully remove the seat. Make sure you do that. You're not in for a good time if you forget to do that. All right, now we're gonna remove the passenger seat. And here we are, passenger seat is removed. And same deal as the passenger side, those two 13mm nuts, the connectors, and then just like this, it can come out as well. This one, you kind of have to finagle past the steering wheel. It's not that hard to do, but just to keep in mind. All right, after we remove these seats, we're gonna start removing all of the plastic trim. So this center console trim right here, this panel, and then there's a kick panel under here, right here, and there's a couple of metal plates back there as well, but we'll get to that. First things first, we have, which I don't have any of these, but you know, if you're lucky, you should have them. Two T20s, one right here, one on the other side. Another T20 there, another one on the other side. And then we should also have one underneath this ashtray. If I can pull this ashtray out, should have two underneath here. First things first, we're gonna remove the shift knob here. Literally just all you have to do is just pry up. Should come up, and because mine is not attached, I can quite literally just lift the whole thing up, but undo the 4 screws that hold this piece in. Once you do that, this can kind of pull away. Actually, I did forget something. So in here is the ashtray that I just removed. There's another T20 screw that holds in the whole ashtray. So once you pull that out, the ashtray should be free from the rest of the center console piece and can easily be removed. All right, with that screw removed, this should come free. Ashtray here, I'm gonna disconnect the 12-volt. With that out of the way, we're gonna get our center console removed here. So there's a couple pieces here that just need to be, actually that one side just needs to be released. After we get that one side out, there's a 13mm bolt holding in the armrest here. This also should be very easy to just lift up and slide out.
There's a few T20 screws down here. Normally I would have, well, normally you'd have one here, another one here, maybe another one over there, but it seems as though I only have this one. So once you release this, this panel should become loose, this panel should become loose, and this panel down here should become loose. This piece should pop out, slide on out. Here's one. Now this piece is connected to the fuse box, so this piece is a little harder to pull out. Something I do want to add here while I'm pulling this out, my kick panel right here is coming out with the side of the fuse box panel. I would advise removing this panel first before you remove this. This is just how my car is. This car has been all janky, so. With those screws out, you'll see that this panel can just kind of snap out and pop out. And now we're left with this metal panel here. All right, this piece is removed. That piece removed, it reveals all of the relays over here and the back side of the fuse box, which we'll need to pop this panel off to insert one of our wires in the fuse 5 slot. We have a couple wires to put over here. This is the 75X relay up there, and then these two are 30 amps. Next thing to remove here is actually this whole trim piece. We need to, yes, I did insert these switches before actually putting in the wiring. Oops. So that just makes it a little harder to pull out, because when they're the blank pieces, it makes the pieces easier to pull out. Have a friend. That's my friend. Now we got the switches out, we got these out here, so we have access to behind where the wires are going to come up. And now I think it's about time we start routing all this chaos. This is the Kufatec harness. The F side is the longer side. That is the driver's side. And the B side is the passenger side. Why they don't do A and B? No idea. But these two have to get sent up from underneath the radio down here and come up out here. Now, that was kind of a pain to route it up there. I really don't have many suggestions for it, but like I had mentioned prior, F side, driver's side, the B side for the passenger side here. After that, we are going to route these two, F and B, to the floor. Alright, so I've decided to take a lot less painless approach and just literally just go underneath the first layer of the black carpet. Not going underneath anything else. Not like there's any weight, anything here that's going to pinch it. I mean, there's wires underneath of it as well. That is just the path of least resistance to make this connector F come out. And it's going to be the same deal with the passenger side. Pop it over to the driver's side here. We have the standalone wire, which the one end here goes right into the back of the fuse box. In this fuse slot, I'm not sure what fuse that is, but this will be blank if you don't have heated seats already. This is the fuse for the heated seats. The other end of this wire will reach this 30 amp fuse relay, I should say. This wire will attach to the grounds right here. I just pop this nut off and put this underneath of it. That way the heated seats have a ground. So this one is a blank wire. On the wire, see if my camera can focus on it, it says pin 17. So, to my knowledge, this one should be the 75X relay, which is right here. It is this nut. So I need to get a fitting to crimp onto the end of the wire and put it onto that nut for the relay. The other blank wire right here, on it, it says ignition and then 5. So, to my knowledge, this would be the ignition fuse. I believe this fuse, the 7.5 amp fuse, is the heated seat regulator. So I somehow have to tap into the back of the fuse box to put this wire on. One more connection I almost forgot. This one is also connected to the main loom. This also will get plugged into the fuse box. There's 2 pins for this to be plugged into. This will be plugged into one pin, and then that separate piece will be plugged into the other pin. With that ground wire secured, our next step here is going to be opening the back of the fuse box. Now, I've realized that there's a clip on the side here that needs to release. There's a small hinge right here. So you release the clip, pops out, and this just pop open, like so. Actually, the hinge doesn't seem to be doing hinge stuff, but that's okay. We got this piece out, and now we have access to all of our pins in the back. These 2 wires are installed in the heated seat fuse. So, a little helpful tip for putting these in if you've never done it before. This little pink tab, you can get your pocket screwdriver here and stick it in below here and pop it down. And these kind of snap in. You'll hear a little pop and they'll go in. Now we move on to the 30 amp to connect this wire. Alright, we've got that nut off right there for the 30 amp, so we're just going to stick this end on there and tighten the nut back up. What I've done now is added a ring terminal to the end of the 75X wire, which, just again, is the one that's labeled, let's see, the focus is here, pin 17. So the pin 17 will go into this last one with the yellow wires over here, the 75X. Now, if you see here at the number 5 fuse, there's one normal looking prong on the right and a bronze looking prong on the left. I'm going to see if I can zoom in here. Probably can't see it, but you may be able to see a little bit of copper in there. That is the blank wire. It says ignition 5. I've temporarily reconnected the battery, and now we are going to see if these switches turn on with the headlights. So we have our ignition on, we're going to turn our headlights on, and perfect. These are lighting up red. That's a good sign. Now, we will test it out by putting a seat in. Actually, we'll put both of them in. That'll be a good test. Alright, I've roughly fitted these seats back in. I still have everything apart because I haven't tested the seats yet, but the most important thing, obviously, the heated seats aren't going to work without a fuse. I have a 20 amp fuse that I'm going to put in here. I think it's a 15 amp fuse. However, I'm going to play it safe with the 20. That way it doesn't pop. So now we're gonna test our work here. We have both seats in. I'm going to start the car. We might have an airbag light that I might have to clear. We have all our lights on. Now let's crank both of these up and see if we get some heat. And some time has passed and we have heated seats, seated heats in both of our seats here. Now I'm going to put everything back together and I'll kind of conclude this when I put it all back together. It'll definitely be dark by then because the sun is setting. Heated seats are installed, everything is put back together just the way it should be, and you know, I have to readjust the seats and everything, but we're all good to go. So I hope this helps someone out. Share it with a friend if they know that they need heated seats and need help. Thank you.